What's happening? What's happening? We back. Episode 3, season 1. Let's talk boxing. We're gonna have us some fun tonight. So we are going to tap in and see if we can get Jesse on the show. What's happening, y'all? What's going on? What's happening? We back. We are back. There he is.
What's up, bro? How's it
What's
going?
happening, Ted?
Hey, did you send me that link so I could send to him?
I'm working on it now, but I couldn't find a way to incorporate like Zoom to
Okay.
Instagram Live.
Yeah.
I see like he does have an Instagram page. Do you think if I send him a request, he might know how to join it from there?
Let me. You want me to send it to him?
I can send him the request.
Okay. Yeah, send it to him, and then
Yeah.
I'll text him and tell him to look at his Instagram page. To look at his page.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because he should get something popping up on his screen. Hang tight, hold on.
Do I have
Well,
to do
yeah,
that?
you might have to send it to him because I don't think he follows me.
So do I? You're text it to me, or how?
Yeah.
How
Do you have any icons on the bottom of your screen?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have one that has like a little picture with a person with a little arrow pointing to it?
I have a. It's just like a little plane.
Uh,
There's no picture with the person in it though.
okay.
Oh, hold on. It says copy link, share to. When I click on it, it says copy link, share to. That has
Try to
comments.
try to see if you can share it to him,
Okay, let's see.
and then he might be able to join from there. The
So it'll
plus
just
sign.
be this. That's just the link. So the link that he gets is what we're on right now, right?
Right.
Okay. Let me.
They helping out. They said hit the plane sign. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the share too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Let me see. Let me find Mickey on here.
Good looking out, y'all.
Okay, I'm gonna send it to him now,
Okay.
and then I'll text him to see if to check his Instagram page, right?
Yeah,
Check
yeah,
his.
he should get it.
But he said he didn't have one, so let me find out what he has. All right, 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully we can get Mickey Ward up in here. Oh, Boost Tyler. Hey, we gonna get into that. We gonna get into that, man, because he's Boots is gonna be in there, and then he gets the winner of Ugas and Spence. So we gonna get into that. Definitely. I don't wanna talk too much, but we gonna get into that. What's popping, y'all? We gonna wait for the champ to come back in here. Let me see. See, we got a request from Rob. Let me see. See if we can add Rob in here. While we wait on the champ. Hello. How's it going, my brother?
Hey,
How you doing?
that was a mistake. I'm just chilling out watching the show.
No worries, man. No worries. We're just waiting on Jesse to get back, and hopefully Mickey Ward will be up here too.
That'll be awesome. I was making fun of his Southie accent. We're gonna need an interpreter unless you can speak Southie.
Well, I'm from Virginia, so I guess you can call that the South. So I'll be able to make out enough of what they're saying, so that way I'll be able to put it all together and and make it all work, man. So you friends with Jesse or?
Yeah, so I'm just a friend of James. I've known him for a while. When he boxed, helped him with his promotion, um, and now still his friend, hanging out.
Oh, you're kind of going in and out. I'm sorry. You said that you knew him when he was boxing. If
Right. I handled
okay,
promotional activities for him, when he did that kind of stuff. So I had a good run.
awesome, awesome, man. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
But anyway, I
So
was
do
just
you,
trying to make sure I added you to follow you, but I actually went live with you. So nice meeting you. I'm going to let you go. We'll wait for James to get.
sounds good, my man. Nice meeting you. Here he is, right here. Nice meeting you, my man. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? I saw where you're talking to my buddy Rob.
Yeah. He chimed in. I was talking with him for a little bit while we were
Yeah.
waiting on you to get back. How did things go with Champ?
I sent it to him on his on this. I sent it to him on this Instagram, but I haven't heard anything back. I didn't text him though. Or I did text him. I said check his Instagram on his fan. What was his fan page? What was it? 'Cause remember he said he didn't have it on his phone.
Well, there was one. It was just like Mickey Warden didn't have the blue check mark
Yeah,
next to it, so I'm not sure
yeah.
if he has somebody that runs it
Right.
for him.
I'm sure someone else is doing it from.
That's probably what it. So what
Yeah.
we can do? We can I can set up a Zoom. We can figure out a time that's good for him, and we can set
Yeah.
up like a
Yeah.
actual Zoom call. I'll just pre-record the show and everything like that.
Yeah,
And
that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be cool because he was at the Golden Gloves right now, anyhow. But
okay,
he had some time.
okay, yeah, we can figure out. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a Thursday. It can be whatever day that he's
Okay.
free, and we can
Okay.
all hop on. In that way, he can tell us a little bit more about what you guys got going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be
Uh,
good.
you got a little bit of time to
Yeah,
talk about
I got
boxing
time.
with
Yeah, I
me?
got time right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, sounds good, man. All right, so the first thing I wanna talk to you about is, and if anybody else wants to chime in, please send a request. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, please.
Um,
I would love to hear what other fans or members have to say about the state of boxing in general, what they feel about which fights need to happen, or I guess the big talk right now is who Canelo should fight. You know,
Yep, and we're
What they-
definitely gonna get into that too, and that's part of the reason why we do this too, so that way it can kind of be like a forum. People can say whatever, they can join a live and kind of
yeah,
join the discussion. But
yep.
this weekend we got Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. It's gonna happen over there in the UK. This is a big fight for the two. I know they're on the
Is there
back.
a rift between these two guys, or they just don't like each other? I don't know what it is. I read that earlier today. I didn't even know there was a fight between these two guys, a rift.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a little bit of a history. Kell Brook has been adamant about wanting to fight Amir Khan for quite a while.
Yeah,
But Amir Khan said, look, man, I've been doing other things. Like I've been fighting guys, like Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, and stuff like that. I can't
yeah.
fight you if these guys are willing to fight me right now. So it's going to happen this weekend. Like I said, they're both, in the latter part of their career. They've
Mhm.
both done very well for themselves. So think? Who do you think takes this one this weekend? Are you a Kell Brook kind of guy, or do you think Amir Khan is going to be able to
You
win this
know,
one?
so I've said this before. I know Amir Khan. He's just a great guy, and I've never met Kell Brook. I'm sure he's a great guy too, but I always go with the guys that I know and their friends and guys that I've talked to and hung out with, um, and know their character. I know his character. And he's a great guy, and I always root for the good guys. I'm that type of guy. I'm gonna say Kell's not, but I just don't know him. And Amir Khan's fought the best guys in the world. He's fought the best. He's like he fights anybody because he wants to be the best and he wants to prove himself, and he challenges the best guys or they pick him, whatever it is, but he's not afraid to fight anyone, and I love that about a fighter.
Definitely, especially in this era too. You hear a lot of fans talking. A big complaint that they have, a consistent one, is that they don't see the best fight the best.
Yeah,
And that's one thing that you can say about him. Me personally, I'm going to go with Amir Khan only because I think he has the faster hands. The
Yeah,
only issue that I have with Amir Khan is his chin.
yeah. That's I mean that's been his problem since day one. When he fought Maidana and when he that big fight against Maidana.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he seems to do well for the time that he's able to get his game plan going and everything. But
Yeah,
once he has that punch that just either knocks him out, knocks him down, it doesn't seem that he does
yeah,
too well after that. I mean, you could talk about a Danny Garcia fight. He was doing well. Danny Garcia dropped him and then ended up knocking him out. Canelo
yeah,
ended up knocking him out. So I mean, he's had some brutal knockouts.
yeah.
Um,
He has, and those are I mean those are dangerous knockouts he's had, and you
yeah,
don't ever wonder. Well, you wonder what's the outcome of that? What's going to be the long term effects of all that? And has it happened yet? And maybe I don't know. What do you just don't know? But I want him to win. I like him. I like the way he fights, and he's a great fighter, fast. But yeah, you question that chin.
Yep, and I do see that he's brought in Amir Khan I'm referring to. He actually brought in Terrence Crawford. He
Hmm.
brought in Terrence Crawford to be part of the camp because if I'm not mistaken, Crawford has fought both of these guys.
Okay.
So, he's kind of picking Crawford's brain as far as, what he can do to win the fight. So I'm taking Amir Khan myself. I believe Kell Brook, didn't he have problems with his eye as well? Didn't he have some type of surgery?
Something happened to him. I don't know what it was, but I heard something about that a year ago or so.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, anything can happen. That's the beauty
Yeah,
part about boxing.
that's why they fight, right? We can say
Exactly.
all we want. It
That's
could be a one punch knockout and it's over with.
yep, absolutely. That's why the fights happen. So
Yeah,
let me ask you about this. So this whole Cambosis situation, it's been a headache because it seemed like one week you hear Devin Haney's gonna fight him, and then the next week you hear Lomachenko is gonna be fighting him. So the latest report is that Lomachenko's in the lead
yeah.
to fight him, and I saw a report today. My man Joe chiming in, he said he got Kell Brook. Amir is talented, fast, but doesn't hold for him.
Yeah.
Like we said, man, anything can happen.
Yep.
Anything can happen. You could be 100% correct.
Yep.
Happy we get to have dinner and talk boxing. Absolutely, every Thursday night we're gonna get up here and talk boxing. Like I said, anybody that wants to join in on the live, please chime in. Give us your feedback. We'll love to hear. So back to this Cambosa situation. Like I said, you always hear a different name, and they're talking about Loma could be in the lead now, and they could have a fight happening in Australia.
Yeah.
So if you look at that landscape, if you look at those guys, who would you like to see Cambosa's fight?
I like that Loma fight for him. I think that's a great fight. He's been asking for that for a while, I think, right? I
Yeah.
think he called him out. I don't know how long ago, but I saw somewhere where he called him out, and I think that's a great fight. And I think Cambosa is just too big, too strong, too fast. And you think
Mm-hmm.
about that. You're saying that against Loma. Loma's one of the best fighters in the world, technique-wise and speed. But Cambosa has the same thing. Look what he did with his last fight
Lopez.
with Lopez. Yeah, he outpowered him and outsped him and outslugged him. He did everything, and
Mhm.
that's a tough fight for Loma.
Yeah, yeah.
Very tough.
Loma, he was struggling with the bigger, more rangier,
Yeah,
opponent, and that's going to be the exact same scenario, when you talk about Cambosis.
yeah,
Somebody that's going to be bigger, rangier than he is. So
and just as fast. I think he's quick.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And what's crazy is a lot of the world we didn't know how good Cambosis actually was until we saw him in the ring,
yeah,
with Teofimo Lopez, who at the time, I mean, we were talking about who arguably is top pound, was top pound fighter in the
yeah.
world. That actually brings me to my next comment, Joe. What kind of matchup do you think Devin Haney would present if you put him in the ring with, let's say, Devin Haney gets the fight with Cambosis? What kind of threat? Because they talk about Devin Haney lacks power. They,
Yeah.
if you ask some people, they say he lacks that knockout power, but he's a good rangy boxer. So What kind of matchup do you think that Devin Haney would present for Kambosos?
I think Devin Haney's more of the is not missing smarter, but he's a smart fighter and he uses his skills better than a guy that doesn't have power or knockout power, knockout power or speed. Um, I don't know. He's one of those guys. I'm trying to think of a fighter that we would know that he kind of has a lot of skills but doesn't always use them wisely or doesn't always use them and doesn't always look like he can beat the better fighter. I'm trying to think of someone that fights like that, but someone that has all this potential and he just wins, but you don't figure out how he wins so much. You know what I'm saying? It's like he has what it takes and he does it, but you don't always see it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
always see it. He's like maybe he fights to the caliber of his opposition. Maybe that's what he does. So he doesn't have to show all his skills because he just fights to the level of his competitors.
Yeah, and sometimes those tools that you have aren't always needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they are, and sometimes you don't get a chance to show your whole ability for whatever reason.
Because I've seen, you're right. I've seen Haney fight, and I'm like, he fights, but he doesn't show anything spectacular that I haven't seen yet. But
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him fight a lot. But when I have seen him, I say I haven't seen anything like. I know he's a good fighter, but I haven't seen anything great from him. Like when you saw Loma fight at the beginning, you're like, whoa, wow. Then I saw Combozo fight, and I said, oh my God, look how good this guy is. But when you see Haney fight, you don't say that to yourself. You say he's a good fighter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're definitely right. Like,
Yeah.
and what Joe is saying is
In
right.
other words, he doesn't wow you, right? He doesn't wow you
Yeah.
when you see him fight like some of these other guys do.
And I think when they talk about ticket sales and selling out arenas and stuff like that, and then they talk
Yeah.
about who's selling the most tickets, one knock on Devin Haney is that they say that he doesn't bring the crowd. He
Yeah.
doesn't bring a crowd like a Javante Tank Davis does.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it might be because of the knockouts or what have you. People love seeing the knockouts.
Yeah. People want to see that train wreck, that
Yeah,
wreck. They want to see that crash, and if you don't bring it, you may not appeal to the fans, and they say something like you're a boring fighter, or you just. Oh, remember? Okay, so here's one that we can say. I think, and I'm not one of the best fighters in the world, right? But what are people saying about Bruno Whitaker? Right? What are they saying about? To me, he's one of the best defensive fighters in the world. Great fighter, but his fights weren't always all that exciting. Not always. Not a lot of them weren't always spectacular or exciting type fights. But he's one of the best fighters in the world.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you want to talk
And
about
that's because he didn't have that much power, right? All his fights went the distance, and he beat everybody. But all his fights went the distance, and people wanted to see the knockout, and he didn't have that knockout power.
yeah, and that's kind of like how Floyd was too at the end of his
Yeah,
career.
yeah,
He was Money Mayweather, arguably the most exciting fighter I've ever seen, as opposed to yourself and Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson.
mm-hmm.
But in the latter part of his career, he didn't have that knockout power, so he was just using his skills to,
Yeah,
I guess, make up for the lack of power that he had, and because he was having hand problems.
yeah,
With all the work that Floyd puts in, it's kind of easy to understand that him having the hand problems that he did.
mm-hmm.
When you talk about as much sparring and hand work, and
Yeah, yeah.
given how early Floyd started as well, it makes sense.
I always tell people the name of the game is boxing. It's not called slugging. It's not called knockout. It's called boxing. You box the person in front of you. You have to box. You don't have to knock them out. You just gotta beat them.
Yeah,
And the best fighters in the world, Mayweather, Bruno Whitaker, they don't knock it. They don't knock everyone out. You don't need to. You just gotta beat them.
yep. And like I always say, the job is to hit and not get hit.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I saw a clip that Andre Ward was talking about. He said, if I took your son to a gym, right, and there were two trainers, and one trainer said, I can coach a kid, he'll be durable, he'll have to take one, but he'll give two. Or you got another coach over here that says, I'm going to teach your kid to hit and not get hit. I've mastered this. You know, I know what I'm doing. It's you know, you're gonna take your kid to the trainer that's gonna tell your son to hit and not get hit.
It's a no-brainer. When it comes to when you're a parent, that's why I tell like these some of these parents is I say I hate for my kids or my fighters to get hit. I hate it, and I get after them. I get upset. I get mad because they get hit. That's what my dad did to me. My dad, I would spar in the ring, and I was sparring with these good fighters. I was sparring Bruno Whitaker, and I would get hit. And my dad says, "You don't need to be getting hit." I said, "Dad, I'm boxing." He goes, "No, you're not. You're not boxing. You're slugging. Box." And he would tell me over and over, "You don't need to get hit." He said, you know what he would say? Well, I love this line because he told me from the beginning that I started fighting and until he always, and I always remember, and I tell my fighters, I tell my businessmen, I tell everyone is that, let me think of how a good phrase was the way he would say it is, uh, when you're tough fighters or sometimes dumb fighters.
Mm.
He always said, you don't want to be a tough fighter. You want to be a smart fighter. Because tough fighters are what? They do what? They get hit a lot, right?
They get hit.
But he's tough. And
Yeah.
he gets hit a lot. And what happens when tough fighters retire? They're not always the same. Heck,
Yeah.
it's really hard enough for good boxers to be the same when they retire. Yeah. But tough fighters more than likely aren't going to be the same because they got hit a lot, but they were tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does the fan want to see? The fan wants to see the tough fighter. Why? Because they get hit a lot, and it's a fight, and it's a dog fight. And then when the fight's over with, the fighter has to go home and, figure out what's going to happen to him, how he feels, his head hurts. But the fan goes on to the next fighter.
Yeah, it's sad, but that you're
it's sad, and it happens. It happens all the time. It happens. You go anywhere where you go to the Boxing Hall of Fame, and you see those tough fighters out there. You see those tough world champions out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, these guys got hit a lot. You could tell, but they were tough. And that's why you want to be a boxer like Mayweather, Bruno Whitaker, those type of guys. That were smart and didn't get hit. The art of the game: hit and don't get hit.
Hey, I couldn't have said it any better myself. I mean, as a fan, like from a fan perspective now, like if I see a fight getting ready to come on, and I hear the commentator say he's tough and durable, that lets me know that, like you said, he gets hit a lot. I'm expecting this guy to get hit a lot. And don't get me wrong, it's exciting to see because we like seeing 4 or 5 knockouts, somebody getting knocked down and then coming back and getting a knockdown. Like Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti, Ferrero Morales. Stuff like that is fun, for the fan. But the people that I'm sure that are looking at us now and fans that actually understand the sport and know it comes down to hit and not get hit, they respect when they see a defensive fighter as well, because he's able to, whether it's maintain range or fast enough, get
Roy
in.
Jones, like you're right. Roy Jones, Andre Ward, Bruno Whitaker, Mayweather. These guys are like, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I had that skill and that talent to be that fast and move that quick. Man, I should be fighting. I should be fighting.
Hey,
I would have retired at 38. I would have kept fighting.
I hear you, man, because watching some of those guys fight, and they were so fast. Like Roy Jones, for example, anytime you can have your hands behind your back and you can dodge punches, and then you can hit somebody and then knock them out. I mean, Roy Jones was arguably the most exciting fighter I've ever seen.
Yeah,
he's definitely up there. One of the best pound for pound I think of all time, considering what he did, where he started junior middleweight and you go all the way up to heavyweight. I don't care who he's fighting. You know what I mean? But you go all the way from junior middleweight all the way up to heavyweight and win the world title.
Yeah, you're right. And that's why I gave Canelo so much credit, because he's moving up in weight too, and he's Roy Jones knew what the fighters he was fighting. He didn't go to the biggest and the best heavyweight in the world. He went to Ruiz or whatever the guy's name, right?
Ruiz, yep.
Yeah. He went to him, but he didn't go to the biggest and strongest and fastest guy. He just got his heavyweight title.
Yep.
People didn't dog him about that. They just knew he was a heavyweight champion. So Canelo's almost doing the same thing. Canelo's only 5'8".
Yeah.
This man 5'9". He's only 5'8". He started at what, 147?
Yep.
And look what he's done. I mean, you guys give the guy so much credit. He's fighting good fighters too.
it's amazing what Canelo Alvarez is
Yeah.
doing right now.
And I think he learned so much of that from Mayweather. I think he learned a
Yes,
lot when he fought Mayweather. Is that, man, I can just make guys miss, and the art that he has is, he has so much power as well. But you combine those two together, and he can be beaten. He hasn't been beaten because he's learned so much from Mayweather after that loss.
I think fighting Floyd Mayweather and losing to Floyd Mayweather was probably the best thing to happen for him,
Yeah,
because he was good, before he fought Mayweather, but afterwards
yeah,
you can see the defensive, like what he learned and how he implements some of the defensive tactics that he learned from the Floyd fight, into what he's doing now. And
yeah,
if you incorporate that with his power and his fight IQ, and now you add defense, that makes him a very,
yeah,
very, very tough fighter to beat.
yeah.
We got a request to join in, man. This is one of my good friends from we grew up in the same neighborhood. Shout out to College Park in Virginia Beach. My buddy Joe, he has a son that boxes too. His son, I want to say, is about 5 or 6. He's doing an amazing job with him.
Uh-huh.
Looks like Joe's joining in right now. Joe, what's going on, my brother?
How y'all fellas doing? Me and my daughter in here cooking, so here you
Okay, we
go.
we
So
we doing good,
I'm
bro.
back
How
and
you
forth.
doing, man?
Good. How are y'all?
Hey, we, we
Good.
we good. We good, man. So I see you were chiming in on the Devin Haney situation. Now you said that you like Devin Haney for George Kambosos. You are very knowledgeable in the fight game. I'm gonna give you the floor, Joe. I want you to elaborate a little bit more on why you think Devin Haney would be a better matchup.
I don't think it's a better matchup. I just think the fight makes sense. I'm gonna say that because I feel like undisputed is what we want to see. We want to see like all of these belts. We want to see one champ. Um, that belt they made for Lomachenko that George Kambosos have. I want to see that thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that extra belt thrown away because I don't want Lomachenko to get it and then claim like he's undisputed. I want him to really. He already ducked Devin Haney or relinquished his real WBC belt to Devin Haney to fight other people. Well, he fought Teofimo Lopez and lost. So Teofimo Lopez claimed he was undisputed when he had that make-believe belt that he got from Loma. So I just want to see that belt and all of these belts get eliminated. So whether George Kambosos beats Devin or Devin beat him, it'll be one champ. And that weight class with that amount of talent in there deserves one champ. So we could say this
Yeah,
guy's the best. We don't need
correct.
Tank running around, the biggest draw in boxing. We don't need Tank running around making the most money just because he gets knockouts. Or we don't need Ryan Garcia selling the most tickets just because he's popular on Instagram. We need
I
the
agree.
champion that's the best champion, making the most money and the most popular guy. It's guys that can run around and say this and say that because it's 38 belts. I did this and I got this amount of followers, or I'd sell these amount of tickets. No, we don't care about that. We care about the guy that could beat the best guy that say they the best. It's like
Yep.
it's like my son is 7 years old. Sometimes Keyshawn comes to the gym. As a little kid, he wants to see if he could beat him sparring.
Mm-hmm.
There's no damn way he could beat him. It's
Right.
just things like that. If you feel like you're the best and it's other people out there saying they're the best, you, as a fighter, you shouldn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
like these guys are a business. So, like,
Yeah, exactly.
Tank,
It's a
Tank
business
is,
nowadays.
Yep.
why would you, if I could sell all these tickets fighting, Pitbull was good. Pitbull was a good fight for Tank, but
Mm-hmm.
like if I could sell tickets fighting Pitbull, why would I fight Loma? Even if
Mm-hmm.
I felt I could beat him, but like why? Why?
Yeah.
It don't make sense if I can get the same amount of money. So us fans, we support them too much when they pull these hokey doke moves and stuff like that. Like sometimes like they got to take the fights that we want, man. And that's
I
just that.
agree.
Sometimes it's a business. I can understand you do a business fight and then a shut this guy up fight. Come on now. You can't have another guy saying they can beat you, calling you out, and you ducking them and stuff like that, man. I just don't feel like that's okay.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I believe that there's way too many belts right now, and it gets confusing to people. Like when you see somebody have a belt, and then you hear somebody else's name, and it's like they have a belt in the same sanctioning body. Then it becomes confusing. It's like, hold on, I thought this person was the WBO champion. Nah, this one was. Nah, this one is the franchise champion. This one's the regular champion. And
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
But
it,
I thought like when they had like those super titles like back in the day, it meant something because when they said you was the super champ, that means like you defended your belt like 10 times or something like that.
Mhm.
You had like 10 title defenses and you won them all. So that made you the super champion. Things
Yeah.
like that, that's acceptable. But like when they make you the super champion because oh you took a money fight, but and you so you didn't have to fight your mandatory, so we gave you this belt so you didn't have to relinquish. I don't like that. That's kind of like an allowed duck because if somebody's your mandatory, you can't relinquish your belt to them and get another belt from that sanction. I don't like that. It's like that belt
so
that
so
George Campo.
let me give my my theory on why I like other belts, other organizations being around because boxing is a poor man's sport, right? And boxers become fighters why? Because they like to get hit? No. Because they want to beat people up? No. Boxers become boxers to make money. And if you only have one champion and only have one NABF champion, whatever, man, there's boxers. We're losing boxers as it is to UFC or whatever, right? Because there's not enough money in boxing. There's not enough money to go. There's not enough. Before there was back in the back in the days, you only had one champion, so only one guy's making good money. The other guys are trying to reach him. That's not going to happen nowadays. You can't do it. It's a poor man's sport. We're in the business to make money. It's a business. I understand that, but you could say, hey, go get a real job then, right? But then there wouldn't be boxing around. So I like the fact that there's an opportunity for other fighters to make money, to earn a living. Because if not, you're not earning a living. If you're just struggling to work your way up to become a champion, what are the odds of becoming a world champion with only one belt?
Mhm.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of hungry fighters out there, that poor fighters, and we don't want that. We want that's why the UFC and all these MMA guys are making money because there's titles to go around.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes
But
sense.
but I
But
do
at the
understand what you say
uh,
is don't call yourself a super champion if there's another super champion right next to you. So
I
at the
that's
yeah.
at the same time, it's just like this. Like we like guys that go out there and give knockouts, or we like guys that go out there and brawl. We don't like guys that's out there boxing as fans,
yeah,
high level sparring.
yeah,
And as fans, we don't like businessmen. We like
yeah.
fighters. That's not
yeah.
why we into this. If
Fans
we
want
was
to see the
watching,
train
we
wreck.
would be
I always say
watching.
fans want to see the train wreck.
Yep.
You don't have to be the train that's wrecking though. That's
And,
the thing. That's
but
the
that's
thing though. Like
and then the
everybody,
fans wouldn't want to watch me.
nah, you could still wreck people. You don't
Yeah.
have to be the train that's. I feel like Terrence Crawford got a good mix of boxing
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
he'll
special
box,
skill, man. That's a
Yeah.
special skill.
he'll box,
Yeah.
he'll box, and then when it comes time, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a fine mix. You gotta find that mix, and
Yeah.
that's where
That's a gift too. That's something.
anybody can get in there and brawl and have power,
Yeah.
Yeah.
trade and get the best of that. But like when you making a miss and you land in yours, whether you inside brawling or
Yeah.
boxing, it take a skill. Like I feel like Canelo, like right now, Canelo and Tank,
Yeah.
they are boxing right now and
The
getting
best.
knockouts
Canelo,
and getting
man.
knockouts. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
they making a miss as they are doing, and they boxing
Yep.
and they still getting knockouts. So they're not going out there
And that's because
brawling. And
they're gifted with the power. They're both gifted with power. That's why
Mhm.
that happens.
And Canelo is at
Canelo
these
is
weight
not even
classes
just a
is saying
power. It's not even
who's the champion. Canelo's
Canelo
going in
got
these
so
classes and
many.
saying who's the champion. I'm gonna fight him. So
Canelo
he's
got so
trying to
many
fight the
moves.
best in these weight classes. That's what we want as fans. We want to see the best fight the best. So
Yeah.
Canelo is like, all right, who's the champion? Boom, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna fight you. Okay, Caleb
But
Plant,
there's
you never
talk of
fought
him
me.
find one of the Charter brothers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean, that's a good fight for TV, but like, nah, because
it,
he's gonna like at the end of the day, he's gonna do what he's been doing. Around 7 to 8, it's gonna be this guy's going out of here. Like at the end of the day, we want to see him versus Benavidez. At the end of the day,
You know what? I think the
Things
only
like
real
that.
test for Canelo is going to be at 175. It's going to have to be either better Biev or Bevo. It's because I don't think anybody at 168 is.
I think at 75 he's gonna be too fast and he got too many moves.
I don't know.
When you think
We'll
about
see.
this, no matter what, Canelo's still 5'7", 5'8", and
That's
started at
crazy.
147, and he's still doing this. But people
That's
want him
cool.
to fight the giants, and maybe
Mhm.
deservedly so. Maybe you want to see him fight the best, but it's like Mayweather fighting at 175, and he's not gonna fight.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what they're doing right now. But it's like people want to see, man, put him up against Godzilla and see what he does.
Yeah, people really started thinking it's like put him up against. I want to see him. I've even heard some people say, which I know is completely ridiculous, but I've heard people say put him in the ring against Usyk. I'm like, yo,
Yeah,
chill out, chill
yeah,
out. That's a little bit too much. Let me
yeah.
ask y'all boys. Let me ask y'all boys this, Joe. You brought up something earlier in the chat about this. We got your Dennis Ugas against Earl Spence popping off in the next couple weeks. Now I don't want to get too far, but the winner of that is going to get the winner of Boots Ennis and
The guy
Clayton.
the guy we don't know from Canada.
Right, pretty much. I hate to say that, but pretty much. So let me ask y'all about this Ugas and Spence fight. And Champ, I'm gonna start with you, Joe. I want you to follow up after Champ is done. How do
All
y'all
right.
see this Spence Ugas thing playing out? Do you think it's gonna be a situation where Spence's layoff and the injury is gonna have something to do with it, or do you think he's just too good for Ugas, who is a special fighter?
You guys use a special fighter, but for some reason, I go with Spence, man. He's the better boxer, the cleaner boxer, the the guy that we're talking about doesn't get hit much, but can put you out still. He
Yeah.
has that skill. He has
Mhm.
that talent. He doesn't get hit a lot. He's just a smart fighter. And you guys, I think, uses more about power. He has a long range, but he's in there to knock you out, and he gets hit a lot.
Yeah. Ugas has a good jab. That is one thing I
Yeah,
do like. That Pacquiao fight, he did a good job.
yeah,
Before Manny could really get going, Ugas would throw that jab in his face, and then it
yeah,
kind of. And I get it, Manny's a little older, but the jab is the most important punch in boxing.
yeah.
And Ugas did an outstanding job of establishing that jab and keeping Manny off balance. So I may see what happens if he throws that jab in Errol Spence's messed up eye.
Yeah,
Which,
Manny just had a tough time with Manny's 5'6",
man,
and
yeah,
Ugas is what 5'10". That's just
right.
a big difference in range, man. That's hard to get in there when you have a young guy who's faster on the outside. Tough to get in.
I
That's a
I
fact.
I think the Olympic team that Ugas came up on. I think he was like the only that Cuban team. He was like one or two of the only right-handed guys on there.
Wow.
And when you look at Ugas' career, like I seen like a lot of Ugas fights, but I seen all his losses. He really is undefeated,
Hmm.
unbiased. He's really undefeated, and he feels that way in his mind. And Southpaws and him and that Olympic team that he was on for Cuba was nothing but Southpaws that were good. And what he did to Manny Pacquiao was amazing.
Yeah,
I feel like he's about to probably pull an upset and get robbed because they can't mess up the Earl Spence and Terence Crawford fight. But I feel what Ugas is gonna do in this fight is show people that Earl Spence isn't the same because he got in a car accident and then when he fought Danny Garcia, I hate to say it, Danny Garcia is a hooker. And Earl Spence is a good fundamental fighter. So like at 70, 60, he throws straight punches. I've seen Danny Garcia lose a couple fights that he got denied in against
hmm,
guys, even in his hometown of Puerto Rico, like he lost against a guy that
Oh,
just
yeah,
jabbed him.
yeah,
That
he
just
did.
jabbed him.
correct. Yep,
So like
yep.
if you keep it straight and fundamental, I feel like you could probably beat Danny with one and two. Like if you have a smart fighter in there that's defensively sound.
That was
You don't have
Mauricio,
to
right? Mauricio Herrera beat Danny.
I
Yes.
feel like that. I feel like
Yep.
if you stay tight, throw that 1-2, be a smart. Earl is Earl is a smart fighter, so we know he's not going to just be in there taking punches. That was a good name to beat up, but he didn't really test Earl. Then you have Earl preparing for Manny Pacquiao with headgear on, injures his orbital bone after this car accident, so he didn't even take no punches in the Danny Garcia fight. And then probably when he did spar for Pacquiao, he probably got real sparring partners in there because Pacquiao was going to push him and land some shots, not like Danny. Pacquiao's coming down the line landing straight shots. So when you get that sparring in there and you get your orbital bone broke with headgear on, I'm starting to figure like maybe they kept some of the injuries from the car accident kind of quiet.
Yeah.
You never know.
Maybe when you get out there with Ugas, because Ugas isn't the type of guy that's going to be non-combative, and he's not going to lay up against the rope for you. So you're going to have to get past the jab, you know. And Ugas has a beautiful tool that he landed on Pacquiao the whole fight, and it was, and it did damage to Pacquiao, for real.
It did.
And I really feel like Earl Spence, it's probably be like 7-5 Ugas, but I feel like Earl still get the nod.
To protect that Spence fight.
Yeah.
I
feel Ugas beat Sean Porter, but to protect the Sean Porter versus Spence, they gave the nod to. It just didn't make sense to have Ugas fight, but Ugas is very annoying. See, like Ugas was the mandatory for Pacquiao anyways, but they gave Pacquiao to Earl Spence.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened to Earl Spence and Ugas ended up getting the fight that he was supposed to have, which was the mandatory. Now he got it, and now he got the mandatory for. Is it the mandatory? Did the WBC, did the IBF order this fight?
I'm not sure.
Step aside. It was step aside. Somebody stepped aside.
All right. Step aside and let Ugas fight because Ugas had a mandatory, was it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask y'all this then. So let's just say
you got to go with the money on that fight.
Right. So we'll just say this for the sake of conversation, right? So let's just say Errol Spence ends up winning this fight.
Yeah.
And let's say Jaron Boots Ennis wins his fight. Now, I know it's a fight. Anything can happen. Either guy can win. The reality of a fight, any guy can win. You have your favorites and you have somebody that's supposed to win, but the reality is anybody can win in a fight. So let's just say Jaron Boots Ennis is successful in his fight. Errol Spence is successful in his fight. Now, the way it's been set up is that
Boots is gonna push the mandatory.
Right. The winner of the Boots fight is going to be the mandatory for the winner of that fight. So now you have Boots Ennis versus Errol Spence.
He's not going to step aside for Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence. So if Terrence Crawford wants to fight Earl Spence and Earl Spence wants to fight Terrence Crawford.
I think all them guys want Spence at the end of the day. I think all them guys want Spence. So let me ask y'all this. And Joe, I'll start with you, champ. I'm going to let you chime in after me. How do you feel like if Boots Ennis gets in there with Errol Spence? Now, what are we talking? What are we talking now?
I don't know, man, because it's hard to tell, man. I like how Boots look, but you gotta go with the guys you've seen more out of. I gotta say that. Like I can't like Lomachenko's good, but at the end of the day he had 15, 16 professional fights. He ain't got enough on his resume to say this and that. Like I've seen a lot of good fights out of Loma, but not at top level. Just like Boots, he knocked a lot of guys out. But the names he knocked out, been knocked out before, and I haven't seen him in there with I seen Earl in there with world class fighters, and it was good, and it was good fight. So like, talent is good, but it's no telling when it's up against another talent, because when you're in there against a guy that don't supposed to be in there with you, of course you're gonna look good, especially if you got a lot of moves.
Right.
That's just that.
When you know guys have a great records and you see the box record, you say, man, this guy's undefeated. He's fought all these guys, but then you go to the record of who did these guys fight?
And then they didn't fight nobody.
And they haven't fought anyone yet, so you know, okay, that's why they're fighting this guy. But it happens all the time. And for people that say, oh man, this guy fought an undefeated fighter, or go to that undefeated fighter and see who he beat to become undefeated. Then you give a different reason, a different perspective of who that fighter is.
It's these
That's why.
guys that's undefeated. They ain't fought nowhere but outside their backyard, like right in
Yeah.
their backyard, like in their kitchen, damn
Yeah.
near. And they've been getting these little hometown fights. Oh, he got a good record over here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go get him. Put him in
Yeah.
the ring. Make him the number one guy for him to fight some fucking hell. And then
Yeah, and
we
the thing
knock him
is,
out.
fans they don't care. Like the undefeated, the zero, it looks good, but fans
Yeah.
really don't care about that. At the end of the day, the fans want to see the best fight the best.
Yep. That's all I
Champ,
want to
that's why I gotta give respect to you. You fought the same guy 4 times.
say.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, you
And
know,
I fought like what 4 or 5 pound for pound best guys in the world.
if you go to Champs Box, right, and look at the people that he fought, win or loss, I'm not worried about none of that. If you look at the names that he fought, you can say he fought the best, and that's all you really want. If you looking at somebody, you want to say, okay, you think you're the best, Joe. You said it yourself earlier. If somebody feels like that they're better than you, you should feel some kind of way about that.
Not in your
I'm a
weight
super
class.
competitive.
They gotta go up. They gotta go down and say that. They gotta do that.
Right.
They got
Right.
to.
They
gotta
have
get out
to.
of here. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, they gotta go. At the
Yep.
end of the
Yep.
day,
Definitely.
especially like if somebody's calling your name. That's why I feel like that Lomachenko versus Kambosos fight doesn't make sense right now. But I do say after the winner of that fight, I want Devin Haney to fight George Kambosos. After the winner of that fight happens, I don't care who fights who, but as long as it's all of these guys that's lined up, whether it be Ryan Garcia next, who else we got? We got Ryan Garcia.
What do we do with Tank
Teofimo
Davis?
Lopez moved up.
What do we do with Tank Davis?
See, that's
We not
Floyd.
just
That's
gonna have him
Floyd
sit
little.
around.
That's Floyd. That's Floyd's cash cow, man. He about to fight Rolly probably for a big payday.
So let me ask y'all this then. We said the same thing about other fighters. If you look at, and I absolutely love Gervonta Tank Davis. I think he is one of the
That's
biggest
my
draws
boy.
in boxing.
That's my boy.
Power is ridiculous. If you don't believe me, look at the Barrios fight. Barrios just went 12 rounds with Keith Thurman at 147. So and Tank Davis got rid of him. So that says something.
No disrespect to Barrios, but Keith, man, he got to learn how to take some body shots, man.
Champ, we said the same thing, didn't we, Champ?
Yeah,
We
said the
said
same
the
thing.
exact
You
same
can't go
thing.
out there and tell them people you do 800 sit-ups a day and still get hurt from the same type of body shot.
Yeah.
Took his mouthpiece out and
Man,
everything.
he really don't need to fight Earl like ever,
Earl,
like
yeah.
ever in life, man.
Yeah. But that's
Ever
why I
in
put
life,
on the page. I put in there. I said a
I
body
ain't gonna
punch
lie,
is
man. I put him in there with Pitbull, man. Pitbull might
yeah.
beat him.
He's
Pitbull
supposed to be fighting Gamboa. I think Cruz just agreed with Gamboa, and they're gonna be fighting on the
Yeah.
other.
Thing is, now with everyone knows he can't take a body shot though, right? It's like
Yep.
everyone knows it now.
Yep, definitely.
Jesus
So
Christ.
let me ask y'all this. I want to switch to no women's boxing is killing it right now. I know y'all watch, y'all pay attention. We got 2 big women's fights that are gonna be coming up, and I want to ask your opinion on both. The first one that we got is Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, and then we're gonna have Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields.
What'd you say
So
with the first one? The Spanish girl from Puerto Rico?
yeah, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. That's gonna be, I want to say,
That's a good one.
August 30th. So champ, I'm gonna let you lead off on this one. You have arguably 2 of the best pound for pound women's fighters, in Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
It's going to be happening at MSG, so it's going to be right in there in the Mecca, one of the most infamous arenas in the entire world. So who do you have in that fight?
Man, I don't know, man. That's a tough fight. I haven't seen them fight. Just around. I've seen her fight, but not a whole bunch. Not a whole bunch. So that's a hard one. But women fight. They fight so hard. They fight so hard that you almost think anything can happen. Anything can happen in those fights because they're both fighting. Not one's trying to box. They just go after each other and fight.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I'm gonna say
anything can happen.
Amanda first round start off just like how he's saying. She's just going crazy. Like the way she blitzed in that first round.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. I think part of it is because their rounds are shorter too.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
So it's like if you want to get your opponent out of there, you got a shorter time.
Yeah.
But I don't get me wrong, both ladies are awesome, but I think Katie Taylor is that mold of when we go back to durable and tough. I think she takes a lot of punches more so than what Amanda Serrano does.
Yeah.
I think Amanda Serrano is more skillful. And I think the skill is going to play a role in this fight. I mean, I got Amanda Serrano on winning about 7 rounds, but about 7-5. But it's going to be a good fight, man. I will say this: kudos to both ladies. And as much as I hate to say it, I got to give shout out to Jake Paul too. He's one of the people that helped put the fight together. So. Gotta give him.
Yeah, they fight tougher opponents than Jake Paul does.
I don't. That's the thing I don't like about boxing, man. See, and that's why I feel like those belts kind of like watered down the sports. Maybe not like. Probably they do need like 4 belts, but not all those little sub belts that go with the belt, like. Super champion and silver and
franchise champion.
All those little cool.
It seems like participation trophies. I hate to really say it like that, but it's like everybody gets a belt, and to me as a fan, it's like you have to earn the right to have that. I don't want to see everybody walking around with a belt. I want to see the people that. What was that again, Sam? You were going in and out. Watered down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it seems like too. I mean, when you have every time you look up, somebody's walking down with a belt, and you're trying to figure out what sanctioning body is this.
Yeah, like Loma just won a belt in his last fight against Richard Coleman at 135. Right. Like, really, where did that belt come from? Why nobody won it? And then how? Like, why are you 2 guys fighting for a belt? Like,
yeah,
I mean, Coleman is good. Lomachenko is good, but you lost your last fight. Well, you didn't lose your last fight because he beat the Japanese guy. But, like, I just don't feel like those guys should have been fighting for a belt, and we don't even know what belt that is, man. It's just like a lot of those little things got to go. Maybe those 4 belts that sanction the main body is cool, but those subdivision belts inside of that, they got to go. Got to.
Yeah.
Because there's too many guys that's just popular. Like Tank. Tank got a belt like that at 135, don't he?
Yeah, he just I think he has a belt, but it's like one of those secondary belts. You know what I'm saying? Because I see he had one and he hasn't lost. You know what I mean? So I figure whatever belt that he was walking around with, he still has. I'm just ready for guys like him, and that's why like when we talk about our pound for pound list, I can't have Tank up there quite yet, and this is why.
But do you have Lomachenko up there?
No, I can't have them up there, and this is why. Because if I'm looking at my top pound for pound, it's how do you do against other top competition? If you don't have top competition, then I have a problem putting you up there with upper echelon guys that are constantly fighting the best. Because if we're talking about pound for pound the best, it's like, okay, if I put you all in the same weight class, who's going to rise to the top? And some people, they haven't fought enough elite talent for me to gauge their talent. It's like, okay, you might have some fighters that are elite. Some are good but not great. Some are okay. Some may be average. Some may be below it.
That's what we talked about, that box rec. You look at their box rec, who have you fought?
I feel like Canelo done enough to be in the top 5.
Absolutely. I think Canelo's number 1 right now.
But I feel like they keep clamoring for him to fight Charlo and all of this. Like, Charlo is the toughest or the best fight, and I don't feel that way. And I just feel like sometimes the fans just want you to fight who they want you to fight, and that's not the toughest fight. So I don't feel like if he fight Charlo or don't fight Charlo, because I don't feel like that's the toughest fight for him out right now. Well, I ain't like how Charlo looked in his last fight.
Well, here's the thing.
Canelo would have knocked him out easily.
I think Canelo is at a level now that Mayweather was at, that people are just throwing out names because they want to see how people stack up against Canelo. Because for a while, people were like, oh, I want to see him fight Mayweather. I want to see him fight Mayweather. Even Conor McGregor, oh, I want to see him fight Mayweather. Anybody that they could think of, they would say, I want to see him fight Mayweather. Now Canelo is at that level. Like I said before, I even had somebody's. I saw him put him in there with Usyk, and Usyk's a heavyweight. So people are just like throwing out names of exciting fighters that they feel like could be an issue for Canelo, whether it's Benavidez, whether it's Charlo, whether it's whoever the case may be. People just want to see somebody give Canelo problems to see how Canelo reacts.
Canelo fight Anthony Joshua.
right. It's like that. That's what I'm getting.
I put Triple G back in there with him, man.
Triple G, that fight doesn't do anything for Canelo. The Triple G fight,
but honestly,
nothing fight.
We know
to beat him.
We know we're gonna get a good fight. I'm gonna say that because at the end of the day, I don't know, man. It's tricky to me with that because Canelo tested positive at the end of the first fight with Triple G, and he moved his feet and he boxed. In the fight, I don't know if he knew he was on steroids or not, but they act like he wasn't. He didn't know he was, so he moved his feet. And then in the second fight, he stood there and fought. So in the first fight, you test dirty and you move your feet.
But he beat it. Second
fight, you stand there and you don't test dirty and you stand there like you stand your ground. It's odd to me, and I don't know, man. It's just the same thing with Oscar Valdez. I don't know that Shakur is going to be fighting a clean fighter, but I do
That's
know.
Next week. That's next week, Joe. That's next week, Amir.
I do know for 100% fact, just by talking to Keyshawn at the gym, these kids don't care if that guy's clean because they feel like no version of you can beat them.
Can beat me.
They feel like no version of you could beat them, but sometimes that's not the case. And Oscar Valdez made not the fight he just won, but really lost the fight before that when he was positive probably for steroids. In that fight, he was super duper sharp, and it's not even about being.
You're not talking about the Burchell fight, are you?
Yeah, I am talking about that one.
The Burchell fight,
super duper sharp, and I'm not even talking about like strong. I'm just talking about like the quick twitch, like he was sharp, alert, and that alone let me know he was on something special. But like with Canelo, I don't know, but it's just like when he was fighting Floyd. He landed a lot of shots on the shoulder and things like that. But now when he lands on the shoulder and things like that, you're getting bruises and you can't really do that with him. And he couldn't do that to a 147 Mayweather. He hit what's the guy name? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. With everything but the kitchen sink and didn't drop him. Remember?
Canelo?
Huh?
Yeah.
Canelo?
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't want to knock him out. Canelo.
He hit him with everything.
He probably got too much love for Chavez, man, because my man Pops was sitting there ringside. He's like, look, man.
Respected. He didn't want to knock him out. He respected
him. He's like, yo,
I watched that fight. He hit him with everything but the kitchen sink.
Nah, he hit him hard. He got Paul Banky and says Triple G still fighting.
Triple G is about to turn 40. He's about to fight Mariota. The fight keeps getting pushed back, but he is indeed still fighting. But part of the reason why I don't want to see it is because he's gonna be 40 soon, and in boxing, it's not young. And Canelo has been consistently fighting the top guys since their last fight. He's been fighting champion after champion.
Got a lot of moves, man.
But Triple G, not so much. But yo,
I don't really think there's no guys for Canelo, man. Honestly,
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. But we done hit this 10 o'clock hour, y'all.
Bro, that sounds
so I definitely absolutely appreciate the both of y'all, man, for hopping up here and chopping it up. This Thursday, we're gonna be right back. If y'all are free Thursday, feel free. We'll be doing the same thing. We're gonna talk about that Stevenson Valdez fight too, Joe. So I need to have you up here next Thursday, so we can talk about that and break that down. But I definitely appreciate everything. Anything y'all boys want to say, Joe? I'm gonna let you go first, champ. I'll let you.
Nah, it was good. It was good talking to y'all. Nice talking to you, Jesse.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice talking to you too, Sean. Fact.
Hey, Joe, you know it's always love, man. You always welcome, champ. I feel like we family now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
All right.
saying? I feel like I know you my whole life, but we gonna figure out a way to get Mickey on with us. We're gonna
Yeah.
pre-record the show so that way you guys can talk about what y'all have going on, and I'll share it on the page and everything like that to help you guys out.
Next Thursday.
Okay, sounds good, champ. I'll keep you in the loop. I appreciate y'all boys, man.
Have a
All
good
right.
night, guys.
All right.
All right, see y'all next week. All right.